Allure, featuring Mark Holcomb from Sky Harbor Guiding Lights 2014. Welcome back to Hybrid Theory. I'm Aurian Archive, and I should probably make sure I've actually got a live streaming setup. Yes, we are. Look to be good to go. And as you can see, we're doing something a little different here. I got a request from somebody on how do they unpin something from Windows, and I'm not entirely sure what they were asking about. So, I basically have created a completely new user, and we're going to go through some basics of working with Windows 10, theoretically from a startup position. And let's check our... Okay, says we're good. All right, we are starting. I've already kind of taken off the news and interest. This is something that Microsoft added in a recent update. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you that the news and interest does not appear to be as propaganda oriented as the Google Chrome newsfeed on Android, but it's pretty bad. Uh, it's not terrible, but it's somewhere between bad and really not good. So most people, you kind of want to turn news and interest off first. You just do that by right clicking, going to news and interest, and just turn off. Okay, other things you probably want to turn off. This is right clicking on the taskbar or the show Cortana button, and you may want to turn off the search bar. And you do want to keep the task view button, and there's a couple other here buttons that you may or may not want to have enabled. And once you've done all that, then we can start to work on other things. You may want to, if you have something on the taskbar, you can do unpin from taskbar. So we'll go ahead and take the store off. We'll take mail off. We'll need Edge in a second. Actually, it says here we've got Google Chrome installed. And since your computer may or may not come with Chrome installed, I'll go ahead and say that Microsoft Edge is not a bad browser. It, however, is not really a good browser. As you can see, when I first started it up, it was taking me to what was that? MSN newsfeed, or uh, it has some annoyances. Now, personally, there's two browsers that I've been using on Windows as of late. I've been using Vivaldi, and I've been using Opera GX. It's opera.com/GX. Okay, download Opera GX. Now, Opera GX is now also available on Android Linux. There is still not a desktop Linux client available, so that is kind of something to keep in mind. Opera is, well, I think it's very good. Now, not really sure what's going to happen here, since I already know that uh, some of these programs are probably already installed, just not for a new user, so this is going to be interesting. If you have, what I've kind of done here is set up a local limited user account, not an administrator account. So typically the kind of account that you'd want to be using when you're using Windows 10. And here we go. It is noting that I've got a couple Razer Chroma devices, and we'll deal with that later. And this is some of the things that Vivaldi has added recently. They've incorporated their own ad and tracker blocker. They incorporate their own translation engine links. They incorporate their own calendar and mail and news feeds that do synchronize between devices. Uh, so if you're really wanting that, if you're looking for something that is in line with the old Mozilla client, what was it, Sea Monkey client, if you're looking for something like that, the full-blown Vivaldi is um, probably going to be very good for whatever you want to do. And we'll just click through here, finish web. And we'll close off our mail account here. That's Vivaldi. Now, I'm going to close Vivaldi. Yes, I really want to exit Vivaldi. I'm not sure why I just went. Oh, I must have double clicked up here. So in a couple seconds, this may error out. Opera. Pretty sure that's what happened is I just double clicked. Okay, so we're through that. We'll close. Actually, since we've now got this open again, when you right click on an icon in a taskbar, you have the option to pin to taskbar. And now when I close Vivaldi out again, yes, I want to close everything, you can see that the icon is still down there. And click it again, and it'll take a few seconds, and there we go, the app is up. And no, if you've just installed, you know, a new browser, you may want to take a second and just clean out the junk that's included with it. Yeah, whoops. I'm not really sure what I just told it to paste. But yeah, it's do you know just you may want to take a minute, just clean everything out and delete and empty trash, and there we go. All right. So that's getting Vivaldi installed. So we close out of Vivaldi. Opera. I'm just gonna skip the tutorial since I kind of already know what's going on. If you do walk through the tutorial, you'll get back here. You can. What was that? Oh, information about incoming rain. Okay. Uh, yeah, settings. Flash screen data, dark pages. Font size, sidebar, manage sidebar. And you can see that I'm sorry, we're in Opera GX. I think Vivaldi does some of this too, where uh, we'll integrate with some various services. So if you're pers- uh, personally, I like, well, I don't like, but I use uh, I use YouTube music, although quite honestly, it gives me a lot of reasons to not use YouTube music. Okay, one of the first things you probably want to add, well, one of the first things you probably want to change in settings, we'll do search settings, search. Okay, site settings, search engine. You may want to change. Uh, can we remove these? Nah, doesn't look like we can remove them. But you may want to change your search engine to DuckDuckGo. And again, that was just Opera icon settings and I did search, but you can just kind of scroll down and just look through things. Search engine, manage search engines, and there doesn't appear to be a way to outright delete some of these, but whatever. But you may want to change it to DuckDuckGo. Just saying. I mean, if you like accurate results, you want to use DuckDuckGo. If you don't want accurate results, feel free to use Google. I mean, if you don't want accuracy, hey, that's your thing. All right. Yes, did I just take shots at Google's search engine? Yes, I did. When propaganda starts affecting search results, that's kind of what killed. Let's see. Well, Ask Jeeves, Yahoo, Alta Vista. When you start taking payments to push a certain result and kill other things, you kind of deserve to have things just vanish. All right, and some other things that where I just right clicked on like the sidebar and managing the various things. MyFlow is very useful if you use Opera on your phone. If you're not using Opera on your phone, MyFlow is probably not going to interest you. But that's kind of there we go. Private. We were doing Privacy Badger. Install Privacy Badger for Opera. Add to Opera. And yeah, I know the EFF has taken a couple of rotten turns recently. Oh. Seriously? Okay, that's another thing I need to remember to change. Because if you're on a user account, it's going to ask for a root password. And if you haven't set a root password for Windows, you get what I just kind of danced through right there. All right. Got Privacy Badger installed. Okay. And again, we'll do. That's got it. We can close out these windows. And okay, now we can see the Vivaldi is down here. Opera GX is not. If I right click on Opera GX on the taskbar, and we've got open file location, run as administrator, pin to taskbar. And pinning at the taskbar, and there we go, unpin from taskbar. And that's how you can just take an icon and just pin it to the taskbar at the bottom. All right, cleaning up the start menu itself. Now, this may change as of Windows 11, but you do have a number of what is oh, and for the most part, you can just unpin from the start everything that you're sure you're not going to need. I mean, if you really want the weather, me, I don't need the weather, so I'm just going to uninstall it. I can look out a window. And yes, I want to install. Yeah, uninstall. And then you can just drag and drop things that you may want to keep. Like this is an Acer notebook. And you can also drag your start menu. And you can also, in the start menu, pin to start. Okay. Turn off all suggestions. Uh, what I just did there is, we'll close this for a second. You have, if you're just starting with Windows 10 or some versions of Windows, you'll have like these suggested items in your taskbar. So just right click and turn off all suggestions. And in here it says show suggestions occasionally and start. You turn that off. Now, if for some reason you like GNOME, got no organization, messy experience, you can use start full screen and get this train wreck from Windows 8. There's also something else that you may need to be aware of, depending on your version of Windows and whether or not you have a touch screen, that there normally is a tablet mode. Now, since this is not a touch screen, I may not be able to force the tablet interface. Go to settings. Display. There, tablet. Change additional tablet settings. Okay. All right. I can force it. When you in tablet mode, your Windows 10 screen will look something like this. You'll still have a start menu. It'll be the full screen GNOME like start menu. You'll have a back button like from Android. You'll have a search button, and you'll have your task view button, and you'll have some simplified items down here. Windows that you have open will open Vivaldi. Won't actually show on the taskbar, but they will show in task view. So that is something to be aware of. If you suddenly find yourself without icons on the taskbar and everything's like a weird full screen, you may have slipped into tablet mode, and tablet mode may be somewhere down in here in the notifications box, which you can get to by just left clicking on the little square here. It brings up the sidebar, and maybe in here is tablet mode. If you're not finding it there and you're in this mode, you can get to it by going to settings, and you can just do search for tablet, and it'll give you tablet settings. And change additional tablet settings, and we'll turn tablet mode off, and there we are, back to everything as normal. So it's real quick how you go through there. We can close that out. Yes, I want to confirm exit. Okay, other things you may need to know when it comes to Windows 10, and this is pinning still, but we have like documents in this PC, and we're going to just do a new document titled Agent Zelly. And this would be a photo, all the pictures taken of Agent Zelly in game. You can right click on this on a folder and choose Pin to Quick Access. You now have, over here, if I go to Downloads, I can just go back to Agent Zelly because it's pinned here under Quick Access. Now, depending on the version of Windows that you have, there may also be a historical view of folders that you have been in. And we'll go to Library, we'll go to Genshin Impact, and we don't exactly have a historical gram coming up here. This is another one where we could just pin the quick access, and there it goes. Now, if we're see on our desktop, we can just click back there. To unpin it, just right click and where is unpin from quick access. And same here, unpin from quick access. And there we go. That's pretty much how you do pinning and unpinning from Windows 10. Now, if you are also new to Windows 10, you may not, or you've even been using it a while, you may not know that holding down the Windows key and hitting an arrow button will shift your window around the screen. And you can just kind of rotate whether or not you want to up full screen. And also, if you drag, and again, just hold down the window key and just hit the arrow buttons and just see, what happens when you fling stuff around the screen. So if you are very good way. You can also click and drag things. Grab by the taskbar, drag to the side, drag to the side, and you can see that there's kind of a pop-up showing you maybe where the window will go. We're now going to look up Win 10 Power Tools. And this should take us to a GitHub page. And GitHub, Microsoft. And build status. Okay, install from the release pages. We're on release 4.3 down here. So just to make sure we run through that, you're searching for Power Toys. You want the GitHub page. On the GitHub page, you want to come down to stable version, install from the Power Toys GitHub releases page. And from here, you can scroll down again and you have Power Toys setup. And here's our latest setup package. So we're going to save that. And now over here we have our history extension settings. We don't actually have download, do we? So sidebar setup. And we'll put a check in downloads. All right, and now we have a downloads page here. There we have Power Toys. And this part may take a couple minutes. And here we go, asking for a default password. Since I haven't set one, there's no password to enter. And welcome to the Power Toy preview. All right, finish. And now we should have Power Toys preview. And getting started. And what I'm going to look at is Fancy Zones. So we're going to go to Power Toy settings, Fancy Zone. Fancy Zones is open. We're going to launch Layout Editor. And here we see that we've got different ones. Right now we're on Priority Grid. So we're just going to leave it on Priority Grid. Now I'm going to hold down the Shift button and grab the taskbar, or rather the, whatever. Sort of like, not taskbar, the top bar. Grab the taskbar, and now when I drag, I have different zones I can drag to. Now these zones don't appear when you're using something that uses, and if you have multiple windows open, that can happen. But if you hold down the shift key, you now get fancy zones. And now you can easily just put things where you want them to go. Now, fancy zones don't work with the window key and arrows, so just kind of note on that. So you can't accidentally get into them. But if you're looking for something else that gives you a little bit more power, launch Layout Editor, and we'll create a new layout. Okay. All right. And we'll save and apply. And now when I do shift and drag, and if you go to a zone, and you have to be careful about how you set up your zones. Because like now there's not a good way to get to zone 7 or to zone 5. You're just kind of going back and forth between. Let's launch our layout editor. And we'll edit this one. Edit zones. Okay, that was right click and edit zones. So we'll bring 1 down to 540. We'll bring 3 down to 540. We'll bring 4 into 940. We'll bring 2 into 940. Save and apply. And now we'll all right. But that just gives you an idea of what you can do with fancy zones. And yeah, we'll delete this train wreck. All right, so I hope that gives you an idea of what you can do in Windows 10 to make it operate more like a Linux system. Gives you an overview of pinning and unpinning and different places you can pin and unpin, both to the start menu and to the taskbar and the file manager. It's been Aurian Archive, and I'll catch you later.